All right, guys, this is going to be your Tuesday lesson for science. We are starting off in our science workbook on page 74. On page 74. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Vocabulary. Look for these words as you read. Invasive species. Ecosystems. Living things depend on one another. They also depend on living things such as sunlight. Earth has many different kinds of ecosystems. Different organisms live in different parts of an ecosystem. Living things get food, water, and shelter from their habitats. Many different habitats make up an ecosystem. Interactions in ecosystems. The different parts of an ecosystem interact. All of the parts depend on and affect one another. For example, animals depend on plants for food and shelter. Squirrels get acorns from trees to eat and gather branches to make nests in trees. The squirrel can change and affect how trees grow. Trees and other plants give off oxygen that animals need to survive. Living things also depend on and affect non-living things in an ecosystem. The grass on a meadow could not grow without air, water, sunlight, and soil. When chipmunks and rabbits dig in the grass, they break up rocks, which helps form the soil. So here we have this little diagram. It says, seeds blow onto bare ground. The environment changes as plants take in water and nutrients. As more plants grow, animals move to the environment. They use the plants for food and shelter. So here we see like a lizard, a snail, a butterfly, some worms. In time, the plants grow larger. They compete for water, space, and sunlight. Animals compete for food and water. So now there's more plants here. There's some more animals and they're competing, and looks like this worm is being eaten by this bird. There's a little mouse here, a frog. Trees block sunlight from reaching smaller plants. These plants may die as trees grow larger. So it looks like some of these plants that used to be here are no longer there since it was blocking their sunlight. But with the tree, now we have the squirrel, we have a larger rabbit, and here we have a deer. Bison and other animals in this meadow depend on grasses for food. The grasses need air, water, and sunlight and soil to grow. Watch the video, How Environments Change, to learn more about different types of changes. So let's go ahead and read this first, and then I'll watch the video. Changes in ecosystems. Every living thing changes its ecosystem as it meets its needs. A spider spins a web to catch insects for food. A cotton plant takes water from the soil. Organisms reproduce and grow in number. These events change an ecosystem in small ways. Other living things make bigger changes to their ecosystems. For example, bacteria, worms, and mushrooms break down leaves and dead animals. This returns valuable nutrients to the soil. Later, plants can use those nutrients to grow. In time, the plants grow. Oh, wait, I already read that. Okay, let's go ahead and watch the video, How Environments Change.
Suppose I told you that right now, fish are traveling using ladders and elevators. You'd probably think that was the start of a joke, but it's not. Fish ladders and elevators were invented for the same reason, to help fish survive after their environment changes. Environments can change in different ways. Weather, natural disasters, and living things can all change environments. The plants, animals, and people in the environment have to adjust to the changes. Let's look at how environments and the organisms living in them are affected by change. People can change environments. One way they do this is by building dams. Dams can produce electricity from flowing water and collect water for farming or drinking. But dams can have a negative effect on the plants and animals that live near them. When a dam goes up, it changes the path of the water. Areas that were once dry can become ponds. Dams can also block the paths that fish swim. People have invented ways to help fish continue their path over a dam. This could include fish ladders. These are structures that allow fish to swim up and across a dam. These aren't ladders like the kind you would use to reach the ceiling. They look more like stairs with low steps. Water flows over them, so fish can too. A fish elevator can also be used to help fish on their journey up or down a river. With this device, fish swim to a certain spot near the dam. When enough fish are gathered in this area, they are scooped up and lifted over the dam where they are released back into the water. Another factor that can change the environment are invasive species, or an organism that lives outside its natural habitat. The Burmese python, one of the largest snakes in the world, is causing changes in southern Florida. These snakes live in the wild in Southeast Asia. People brought them to the United States as pets, and some either escaped or were released when they got too big. In warm climates like Florida, the snakes survived in the wild, making the Burmese pythons an invasive species. Invasive species can cause serious harm to an environment. They often use up resources like food, water, and space that other species need. Pythons are excellent hunters, and they hunt the same foods as alligators. Everything from frogs, birds, and mice to deer and hogs. Pythons even eat alligators. Scientists have observed a small decrease in alligator population in areas where pythons live, and a huge decrease in rabbits, raccoons, deer, and other mammals that pythons eat. Florida officials are trying to control this invasive species problem. The snakes are skilled at hiding on land and in water, so people are finding ways to detect them by using dogs or military equipment. Officials have offered prizes to people who can hunt or capture snakes and have set up hotlines for people to report python sightings. They're also working to educate people about the snakes and their dangers. Across the country from Florida, in California, humans and wildlife face a different kind of change, a change brought on by the weather. In 2014, the governor of California declared a state of emergency because of drought. A drought is a serious lack of water brought on by unusually low rainfall. Residents of California, people, plants, and animals have had to adjust to the dry conditions. Some animals were able to survive with less food and water, while others left their habitats in search of water and food. Things were harder for animals that couldn't move. In the Mojave Desert, wet areas called marshes are home to the Shoshone pupfish and other fish. Some of the marshes dried up in the drought, causing many fish to die. It is estimated that more than 12 million trees died because of the drought. This affected animals and insects who needed those tree leaves for food or tree branches for shelter. Farmers also lost crops as their fields dried out. People looked for new sources of water. Some turned to collecting rainwater for watering plants and washing clothes. Some farmers have learned ways to farm on drier land. Now they grow types of plants that need less water or use water-saving ways to irrigate their crops. Another solution to getting fresh water has been found in the ocean. If you're thinking, you can't drink salt water, you're right. But factories called desalination plants remove most of the salt from ocean water. While this helps to solve the immediate need for water, there is still the question of how this process will affect the ocean and the organisms that live there. Living things need an environment that offers them food, water, and a place to live. When that environment is changed, either by people, invasive species, or weather, living things might have to find new sources of food and water or a new place to live. Are there ways that you have seen a habitat changed by weather or people?
Awesome. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and turn to page 76 now. People change ecosystems more than other organisms do. Some changes, such as planting trees, are helpful. Others, such as draining wetlands to build over them, hurt ecosystems. The arrival of a new type of organism can cause either big or small changes to an ecosystem. An invasive species is an organism that's introduced into a new ecosystem either by accident or on purpose by humans. Without predators, the population of the invasive species increases rapidly. Invasive species can be plants or animals. Natural events can cause dramatic changes in ecosystems. Droughts may cause an entire population of animals to leave an area in search of food sources. Floods and fires can sweep away plants and animals. It can take years for an ecosystem to recover from these changes. Collect evidence. Add evidence to your claim on page 73 about how humans change their environment. And just depending on time, you guys can do that today. If not, no worries. Invasive wild pigs are digging for food near Cape Canaveral, Florida. A North American beaver works on its dam in Great Teton National Park, Wyoming. How might a beaver dam change the ecosystem? Go online, explore environments before and after to see the effects of environmental changes. All right. Zebra mussels are invasive in freshwater lakes in the United States, such as the Great Lakes. They can attach to boats and travel between lakes. The mussels form a hard, sharp crust on the bottom of the lake. They clog waterways and pipes. They also eat food that fish in the lake need to survive. So let's see. All right, next one. Cane toads are invasive in Australia. They have poison on their skin that kills other animals in their new environment. Without natural predators, they multiply quickly and eat a lot of the insects other animals need to survive. Huh. Okay, next one. The European rabbit is one of the world's worst invaders. Rabbits multiply quickly and eat a lot. They graze in fields and kill off plants by eating too much. Rabbits also dig burrows for their homes, which causes soil erosion and damages the landscape. Okay, this is like a more clear before and after picture. So here before, here's this European rabbit and it's surrounded by lots of grass, lots of green. And now look at this rabbit and it's all of that grass is dead. And they have this burrow, which, you know, it causes the soil to erode and it damages the landscape. It kills like some of the roots. Kudzu is invasive in the southeastern United States. It is a vine that grows quickly and covers other plants and trees, smothering and killing them. It can destroy entire forests. So this is before, and this is after. Wow. Explore the photos to learn how invasive plants and animals impact the environment. The Asian longhorned beetle is a threat to hardwood trees like maples in the United States and especially in the Northeast. They drill holes into the trees that they infest. This damages the trees. The infested trees need to be removed from the forest to keep the beetles from spreading to other trees and destroying the entire forest. Ooh, wow. That beetle does a lot of damage. Okay, last one, guys. Hyacinth is a pretty water plant with purple flowers, but watch out because it is invasive in the southeastern United States and California. It spreads and forms dense mats, clogging waterways and pipes and blocking light needed by underwater plants and animals that feed on them. Wow. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and move on to page 77 now. Historical dam. Look at the two photos below. On a separate sheet of paper, we're not going to do that. Write a paragraph describing 3 ways the ecosystem changed when the dam gates opened. Also describe a possible problem that could have occurred if the dam was not built. I'm assuming we don't have time for that. So primary source, Dam 96 can be found at the J. Clark Solar Wild Refugee after Dam 96 at the Soray River Basin was open. So this is before and after. All right, let's go ahead and see if we have time for our closed reading. If it's already time, no worries. I'm just gonna read the story, okay? It takes a lot of firefighters working together to put out wildfires. California forest fires. During the drought between 2011 and 2017, there were many wildfires in California. Once a fire starts, it is hard for it to stop it from spreading. This is especially true when a forest is dry from a drought. Park rangers have an important job when there is a wildfire. First, they let people know to stay away. They do this by talking to news reporters and by using social media. After the fire is out, they take care of the animals that survived the fire. Some small animals hide underground or in logs. Park rangers help to rehabilitate the animals. Here, these elks escaped a wildfire in Southern California, and it looks like they're kind of standing in the river so that even if embers fall, that they're not close to the fires. Experts say birds and large animals usually survive wildfires. They can flee quickly when the fire first begins. Where do you think wild animals go after their homes are destroyed? Most animals find another forest to call home. It can take time to find a new forest. This is why some people who live in California see wild animals like coyotes walking along the highway. It is not safe for wild animals to explore outside of their natural habitat, though. They are not used to living among humans. All right, guys. Not sure if we have time for these, but I'll go ahead and read this last one for you guys. That way, if you guys want to check it out on Wednesday asynchronous time, you guys can. What does a park ranger do? Park rangers work in state or national parks. They lead tours and give visitors information about the parks. They spend a lot of time outside and they sometimes work inside a visitor center. That sounds like fun, but park rangers also have have to do a lot of hard work. Sometimes they need to find lost hikers. In some parts of the country, park rangers need to protect people and animals if there is a forest fire. Think like a park ranger. Complete the activity on the next page to explore how a park ranger might work to solve problems that arise. And we are not going to do this in class. As a park ranger, what could you do to protect animal and park visitors if there was a forest fire? How might a forest fire change the environment in a park? And here we have our inquiry activity, which we are not going to do. However, if you guys would like to do it on your own, that is totally up to you guys. And that's it. All right, guys. I know that was a little bit of a longer lesson, but that's the end.